A single scream shattered the calm in the manicured suburb of Willow Creek, where hedges never grew past regulation height and silence after 9 p.m. was an unspoken commandment. It came from 17-year-old Emily Carter, a girl grappling with a diagnosed anxiety disorder. That scream, born from a panic attack, wasn't just a cry for help. It ignited a war that would expose lies, unravel a community, and land a powerful HOA president in the crosshairs of criminal charges. Emily's mother, Sarah Carter, was a nurse who just endured a grueling double shift at the county hospital. Her hands were raw from latex gloves, her uniform damp with sweat, her mind haunted by the chaos of trauma rooms. She stumbled through the front door, craving nothing but quiet. Instead, she found chaos. A piercing, breathless cry echoed from upstairs, Emily's voice. Sarah dropped her bag and raced to her daughter's room, where she found Emily curled in a corner, clutching her chest, her breaths shallow and frantic, like someone drowning on dry land. Sarah knelt beside her, guiding her through slow, deliberate breaths. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. For 40 agonizing minutes, they fought the invisible beast clawing at Emily's mind. Just as Emily's trembling began to ease, the doorbell pierced the silence. Standing on the porch was Helen Warwick, the iron-fisted president of the Willow Creek HOA. Her gray hair was as sharp as her glare, her posture rigid, an envelope clutched like a weapon. "You've violated Rule 3.4b, she announced, voice dripping with authority. "Excessive noise after 9 p.m. This is a $250 fine." Sarah, stunned, took the envelope, her exhaustion giving way to disbelief. She paid the fine the next morning, hoping to bury the issue. But the silence in their home grew heavier. Emily barely left her room, whispering instead of speaking, muffling sneezes in her blanket, terrified any sound might summon another knock. 7 days later, a second envelope arrived, bolder, more menacing. It claimed Emily had screamed at 10:14 p.m., a disturbance verified by community witnesses. Sarah's heart sank. There'd been no scream, no episode. Emily hadn't even left her bed. Security footage showed nothing, no noise, no open windows, just the quiet hum of the neighborhood. Sarah called the HOA, emailed them, and demanded answers. Their response was cold. "Disturbances have been verified. Complaints may be used in future legal action." Verified by whom? Sarah wondered, her trust in her neighbors crumbling. That evening, Emily let out a single sob, a sharp, involuntary sound. Within 15 minutes, the police were at their door. Officer Daniels, flashlight in hand, cited a domestic disturbance report, screams, sounds of struggle. Sarah's voice cracked as she explained Emily's anxiety, handing over medical records, doctor's notes, and therapy letters. The officer left, calling it standard procedure, but his report labeled it suspicion of disorderly conduct. Willow Creek no longer felt like home. Every sound felt like a trap, every window a pair of watching eyes. Emily wore headphones constantly, not for music, but to feel some control over the noise she was desperate to suppress. Sarah's fear turned to fury. Her daughter's pain was being weaponized, her illness branded a threat. She hired Laura Bennett, a civil rights attorney with a knack for dismantling petty tyrants. Laura subpoenaed HOA records, uncovering a chilling truth. Every complaint came from Helen Warwick and her ally, Patricia Cole. No community outcry, just two women wielding their authority to torment a teenager they deemed unstable. Internal messages were worse. "She's a broken siren, always blaring," one read. Another, "Keep the pressure on the mom until they leave." Sarah's hands shook as she read the words, her daughter reduced to a problem to be erased. Laura filed a lawsuit in Mason County Court, alleging discrimination based on mental health and violation of Emily's civil rights. The HOA hired a slick attorney, Victor Grayson, who sauntered into court with a $3,000 suit and a patronizing tone. "This is about order," he drawled, framing Emily's screams as a nuisance, her panic attacks a burden on the community. "Sympathy doesn't override rules." he said, glancing at Sarah with a smirk. The words stung, but Sarah held her ground, her jaw tight, her daughter's dignity at stake. Then the courtroom shifted. Midway through the hearing, David Reed, a county disability rights prosecutor, strode in unannounced. His presence was electric, his voice commanding. "This isn't a noise dispute," he declared. "This is a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Penalizing a child for an involuntary panic attack is illegal. These messages show intent, deliberate harassment of a minor." He read the HOA's cruel text aloud, each word landing like a gavel. The room froze. Even the judge, a veteran of countless cases, leaned forward. "If these are authentic," he said, "we're looking at criminal conduct." Helen Warwick, smug all morning, finally looked down, her composure cracking. The story exploded online. "Teen fined for panic attack," screamed headlines. Hashtag Let Her Breathe trended as thousands shared stories of being shamed for mental health struggles. Protesters gathered at Willow Creek's gates, signs reading, "A panic attack isn't a crime." Emily, once paralyzed by fear, found her voice. At a school assembly, she spoke about anxiety, her words raw but steady. "I didn't choose this," she said. "I just want to live without being punished for being scared." The room fell silent, and the judge himself visibly moved when her testimony was recounted in court. The evidence was damning. 2 residents admitted signing complaints under Helen's pressure, one confessing, "She said it'd be easier if I just agreed." The HOA unraveled, board members resigned, Helen's legal team fractured. On the stand, Helen clung to her script, claiming she acted for the community's best interest. But the courtroom had heard her laugh in a recorded meeting, joking that Emily belonged in padded walls. Her mask was gone, her authority exposed as cruelty cloaked in bylaws. The judge's ruling was thunderous. The HOA was guilty of discriminatory enforcement and intentional emotional distress. They'd pay $175,000 in damages, revise their bylaws under state oversight, and Helen faced criminal investigation for harassment and defamation. The courtroom didn't cheer, it didn't need to. The silence was victory enough. Sarah squeezed Emily's hand. Emily exhaled, not because she had to be quiet, but because she finally could. Spring brought change. Emily, once afraid of her own shadow, stood on a school stage, sharing her story, inspiring others. The HOA's old guard was gone, replaced by leaders who hung a sign, "People first, rules second." Sarah felt peace, not triumph, but peace. One night, Emily felt the familiar tightness in her chest. This time, she didn't hide. She sat in the living room, breathing through it. Sarah joined her, their hands touching, no words needed. Outside, the neighborhood was quiet, not the suffocating kind, but the kind that felt safe. This story isn't just about a scream, it's about who gets to exist, who gets to be human. Was the HOA's crackdown just strict rule enforcement, or was it a deliberate campaign to silence a vulnerable girl? Should mental health be a private burden or a community's responsibility to understand? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about where we draw the line between rules and compassion, and how far is too far when it comes to enforcing order. Hit that like button if this story moved you, and subscribe for more real-life dramas that spark debate and demand justice.